All right, guys, we're live. All right, so before I got here today, I was going to go by the Rolex forum and try and get some topics, but I ended up not doing it. But hi, everybody. Ann Zeal, how's it going? Punctured Lung, how's it going? John McManus, how are you? Turkey Vulture, how's it going? Hotsy is here. How are you guys? All right. John asks, well, first of all, we gotta do the wristwatch check first. What am I wearing? Oh, well, I flashed it. Is it the Hydronaut? No, I switched it for the grandfather watch, the grandfather Timex. See if this thing focuses. This is a really well 70s watch and terrible band. I mean, this is like a piece of rubber plastic. And I mean, this is a real low quality watch, but they do take a licking and keep on ticking, that's for sure. The interesting thing about this watch is I just experienced it because I just set it, how hard it is to set. I had 5 minutes to start the live show, and I was trying to set this thing, and it's interesting because I mean, there's no quick set, and it's got the day and the date, and you have to sort of go in front of a calendar and, and kind of get it square, and then it takes a couple of minutes. Anyway, so the wristwatch check, there we go. I'm probably going to wear this for, I don't know, a couple of days, maybe 24 hours. I don't know. I can't really stand this kind of watch for long, but there we go. All right, so John asks about the Sumo Hulk, the new one. What is it? SBP 101, and then I think that's the black dialed one, and the SBP 103, which is a green dialed one. And yeah, it's okay. So it's a Seiko Turtle. What do I think about it? I don't know anything about the actual, internals of the watch. And John, if you can put in a price, that'll sort of help me gauge what I think about it, because I wouldn't pay much for that watch, even though it's got some kind of nice historical significance. If it's okay, 850 euros. So I think it's about $300 too much. I mean, some people disagree. I mean, people pay $500 for a Squale and or a Steinhardt, and it's definitely worth more than $300. It's definitely $350 more, worth more than 300. I'm trying to talk here. Compared to a Squale, it's definitely worth $350 more than a Squale or a Steinhardt. Okay, there. But I think 850 is a little pricey. I think 500 would be more reasonable. But if you're a Seiko fan and you know all about the history of those watches, and they do have a pretty cool history apparently. I don't know much about it, but I know it does. Then not bad. People will pay. Okay, I should just say I wouldn't pay that for it. I would pay probably about 500 for it, but I'm not a Seiko fanatic. But Seiko fanatics, yeah, I doubt they'll be able to keep those in stores. So I think they'll probably be hot sellers. I think people will buy them because they like them, and I think people will buy them because they think they might be collectible. And will they be? I don't know about that, but I think those will be hard to find. Spec wise, I don't know much about it. I'm just going sort of price wise and sort of, F off factor, and just kind of, if I were to see somebody with that and I thought they paid 850, I'd say, it's a little bit much. Okay. So, by the way, I would go green dial. I'm not a huge green fan, but that's pretty cool. And it would be sort of the Seiko Hulk the Turtle Hulk. So, all right. What else do we have? Yeah, I have started drinking. I'm drinking some nice tea, nice hot tea. It's so hot I can't even drink it yet. But what do I think about seagull movements? Logan said. Logan asks, what do I think about them? Well, they're Chinese movements. I wouldn't want one. I wouldn't want to watch with one. I think they have sort of a good reputation, but I kind of like to keep things Swiss. I can't see ever really going for a Chinese watch or a watch with a Chinese movement. Yes, I did tangle with Tavais, but that was an experiment, and not a good one. And it felt weird having that watch on my wrist, and it felt cheap, and it made me feel cheap. So, what do I think about seagull movements? I just wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. But you know, they probably work. They probably work better than this. You know, I hope. They probably won't last as long as this, though. So, all right. Did you get your GMT back from service? John asks. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, so I opened that letter that I showed you guys, and and I want to show you guys the letter, and I also want to show you guys the price list, and we'll do that, but it's a little too soon because there's some like sort of information that I don't want out there until I pick it up. All right, Tanzil asks, thank you, Tanzil, for the whatever these things are called, the money. He says, thanks for doing live streams. Think this is going to be a good format for your channel. Thoughts on ideal size range dress watch, and the same question for sports. Okay, good question. Well, for dress watches, I think 36 millimeters is ideal for me, but a lot of people think that's too small. I'm sure somebody's going to write in the comment section that I'm waiting for you, John, because I know you feel this way, like 40 millimeters minimum for a man. But I think 36 worked fine for years on the day dates, on the Datejusts, and so I think that is the ideal size for a dress watch because it doesn't have the rotating bezel. Bigger guys, I can see wanting to go 38 or 40. I don't think a 36 millimeter would look good on, say, Archie. On Clive, I'm not sure. Clive will have to strap on one of his 36 and 36 millimeter, watches and let you guys assess it. But for me, I think 36 is sort of the ideal when it comes to a dress watch. And when it comes to a sports watch, I'd say 40 millimeters. I could get away with 42. I would accept 42, and I would accept 38. But I think 40 millimeters is the sweet spot, especially because it works so well with the rotating bezel. If you take away the rotating bezel, you essentially have a 36 millimeter watch. So, yeah. Again, I think you can fudge those a little bit. Like a 6694 Rolex, that's a 34 millimeter watch, and I totally could do that. And I thought about doing it for a while. So it depends on the person, but I think 36 millimeters for a dress watch, I think that's pretty perfect, and about 40 for a sports watch with a bezel. All right. Yeah, Tristano has a AP, John, right? And it's not even 36. I want to say it's like 33, 34. Somebody type that in. I'm curious. That's 34 is about oh, it's 33. Okay, that's just, it's more mentally screws with me. 34 in practice it looks fine, but it's as much as I could go and still not feel like I'm wearing a girl's watch. All right, so Pet Shop Boy, thoughts on the 16600 Sea Dweller, pre-ceramic Sea Dweller. I think that's an awesome watch, and I think that's a great investment right there. I think they're a little bit more more collectible probably than the typical date sub. You have the date, which is nice. You don't have the Cyclops. If you don't like the Cyclops, you don't have to sweat it. I kind of like the Cyclops these days because they're so characteristic of Rolex. But if you don't like it, but you still want that date, then I think that's a great option. And it is kind of neat because you know on the current Sea Dwellers, they do have the Cyclops, and so it's sort of neat to have one of those pre-Cyclops Sea Dwellers. Love the aesthetic. Of course, it's going to be even more robust than a sub. And I would that's probably where I would go. And if I was getting more steel sports watches, I would be really tempted, personally speaking, towards the Yachtmaster and the Sea Dweller. The sub as well, but I'd much rather go Sea Dweller than sub because it's so unique. I mean, I saw a sub today, and you see subs all the time, but the Sea Dweller's a little bit more special. And I think for that reason, I think they'll probably overtake the sub in terms of bang for buck and whatnot. No, I can't give Archie a call. He called me yesterday. We've had our chat, Clive, but maybe sometime. Maybe I'm sure we'll do. I'm sure we'll do some like a live show sometime. Hey, Clive says, pretend you're drunk and flush with cash. He'll answer, what about this? I was thinking, what if I pretended that I like fell off the wagon and I'm drinking, and people start coming, doing the super chats and goading me on, and then I pop up and it's like, just water, not alcohol. Anyway, I've got better things to do than try and trick you guys for money, but that did cross my mind like a millisecond. I thought it might be kind of funny. All right, what do we have here? Okay, Logan Smith, he says, with Grand Seiko having decorated quartz movements, do you see the big brands ever reintroducing high-end quartz movements like the oyster quartz? I don't. And when you say high-end brands, of course, I'm thinking Rolex and other brands. And I tell you why, because they're behind on that technology, and I don't think they have any R&D going on. And Citizen is starting to overtake Grand Seiko in that department. And I mean, we're talking, we're right around the corner from watches that are like plus minus 1 second in a year, and Rolex cannot compete with that. So I think they're just out. Do they possibly have some R&D going in the background, and they're working on? I don't think that's happening. I don't think they're going to kind of come out and say, here we go. They're not known for it, and I think watch people like us would have. I don't know what kind of reaction we'd have. I mean, I think a good half of us would probably hate it and hate them for doing that. I would be intrigued. It would shake things up, and I think it would be really cool. And I might even want to get one. But like I said, they have no R&D going on, and really, I think Seiko and Citizen are the two companies that are at the forefront of that, and they've got the market locked down. So no. Unfortunately, that would be fun. All right, Alex rates, what are your thoughts on Archie wearing a deep sea. Ah, deep sea. A deep sea is a hard one to pull off, only because it's so extreme. It's so like over the top. Does anybody need one? No. I mean, pulling off a sub is hard enough, but a deep sea is so. Again, if you're wearing a deep sea, like you have to be around and in the ocean. I feel like, so it would just be too gratuitous for him to sport a deep sea. Me too. They're too big for me for sure, but for him, how would it look? Yeah, I think it'd be even too big for Archie. But you know, it is so big and in your face and gratuitous that he probably would love it. Hey, I mean, it would be a great watch to take to Thailand and, you know, swim around at Pattaya with, or whatever he does. No, I'm not going to milk you again. No, we've talked about this. I've had plenty today. Thank you. Tanzil says, there is so much focus on value retention in watch collecting these days. For your own goals, how do you rank value retention in your decision making? Thanks, Tanzil, for the question. Yeah, there is a lot of talk of retention. See, I'm really lucky in the sense that I would be into Rolex, like regardless of value retention, because I just love the brand. I love the aesthetic. And what value retention does for me is it allows me to have 4 pieces instead of 2. That's basically what it is. Because if Rolex was like Omega, I don't think I could justify having that much cash wrapped up in things that are you know, like luxury goods. You know, if I were an Omega guy, I'd have 2. That would be it. I'd afford myself 2. You know, that goes for any brand, Omega or Breitling or whatever, all of these soft brands. But because Rolex is safer, you know, you keep having your $5,000 really. And so you can kind of sort of fudge that judgment a little bit, in my opinion. And for 4 pieces, for example, to me feels a little bit more justifiable. And you know, when a watch sort of looks and acts like an investment, it just makes you sort of feel a little bit more comfortable about buying it. That said, I think 4 is probably my limit. I wouldn't want that much capital like tied up in. I think 4 is plenty. But yeah, thanks to the value retention, I feel like it allows me to have sort of a couple of extra. But like I said, I would still be a Rolex guy regardless. By the way, you know, I say, oh, you know, I want to be a 1 watch guy, and then there's a 3 watch guy, and I'm a 4 watch guy. You know, you see what's happening, right? And the idea that I may say at 4 is fine this year, but in 2 years, with that kind of stagnation, something is going to have to change. I'm going to have to do something, right, to make things interesting. And I'm not a flipper, so you know what that means, adding pieces. And I think I've already gotten an idea of the piece that I'm sort of into. And I'm going to tell you guys, but any guesses? Just, I'm going to give you guys a minute to throw out some guesses. I'm curious what you think is sort of tempting me at the moment. There is something. Unless you guys don't want to play a guessing game, you know. Squally, oh, it's tempting, but no. Oh God. Yeah. Oh, Bluesy is a good guess. It's not, of course, because a Bluesy is a 2-tone piece. The McManus says The no date. No, the no date. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. Okay. OP blue dial. No. Okay. All good guesses, right? Surprising, a pre-Tiger Tudor Chrono Thunderbird. Oh, okay. All good guesses. And all decent watches except for that Squale. The Yachtmaster. Okay. The Yachtmaster. I don't know why. I think it's really cool. And specifically a 1622 with the platinum dial. I think that's an amazing watch. It's like the look of that watch. Okay, it's got the red accent. It's almost, I mean, that sort of monochrome, that color scheme, they don't make it anymore. And here's what intrigues me about this watch, and it's something I noticed just the other day, and you're going to have to get on Google Images and check this out for yourself. But what I want you to do is I want you to look at the back of the case. It's a weird case, and look at the back of that case, and then look at my Hydronaut, the back. There is some serious similarities going on there. Same could be said of the crown guards. And even the way the bezel sort of tends to sink into the case of the Yachtmaster, the connection between the Yachtmaster and the Tudor Hydronaut, it exists, and it blew my mind. But I still have issues with it, particularly the bezel and, of course, those polished middle links. But I still am really kind of into that watch for some reason. Tanzil, thank you for the question. He says, Austin, being an almost Canadian living in Japan, what are the top 3 luxury watches that you've seen around Tokyo or other major cities on wrists? Okay, definitely Rolex. Rolex is sort of king here because everybody knows it. I mean, brands are really popular, and it's because, you know, they're status symbols. I mean, people buy them for status symbols, and there's no bigger status symbol than Rolex. So I would say Rolex, Rolex, Rolex. That's number 1, definitely. Breitling is a close second, and Omega is a close second. I would say Omega and, no, I didn't say Yachtmaster 2, Yachtmaster 1, Clive. Yeah, Omega and Breitling, I think those are kind of tied for second place. That have to fight over second and third place. You see a lot of Speedies because Speedy has sort of a cool, well, I don't need to tell you why the Speedy is what it is. I think a Speedy's, you know, it's an awesome watch, but it's really not, it's not like Rolex money. So you can sort of, you can get it easier, right? And yeah, so I would say those three. I've never seen a Patek here. I did see an AP one time. I was on the train and a guy had some gold, or it might have been two-tone royal oak, and it was amazing to see that. I was like, wow, like what a pricey watch. Wow, what a mistake, you know. In my opinion, have fun with that service cost is what I thought. Matt Stevens, how many times do I have to write you in the comments? My email, okay, is austininjapan@gmail.com. And I don't know, I've sent like 3 messages. No, I've commented on your comments and commented on my comment on your video. And I've said this many times because you keep saying, message me. I don't think we can do that on YouTube anymore. I think private messages are a thing of the past. So you gotta just send me an email. So it's austininjapan@gmail.com. So email me, please, Matt, about that Bangers trip, right? We're going to Bangers, yes? All right, if Archie was an action hero, which one would he be? He would be a villain. He would be, yeah, he would be a likable villain. You know, not really into moving around much, but more sitting behind his desk and plotting to take over the world and whatnot. Hero, it's not in his not in this description. Yeah, Matt, I had a feeling you weren't getting those, so I was hoping you would show up, and you did. So we're on the same page now. Okay, cool. Blue shirt Buddha, good morning. Penguin from the 1960s Batman. Yeah, I don't know. Now there could be, but yeah, I'm so out of my comic book cares. I don't even know, but he would be one of those those evil characters that you love to hate, But the Joker's too lithe. Hey, Ghislaine, how's it going from the UK? By the way, guys, these kind of go sort of fast, so I pick and choose my my comments. I don't even read half of them, just because it would I'd break a sweat and whatnot. So if you ask me something and I don't respond, don't get offended. If it's really important, keep writing it, and the chances are that I may come across it. Will you sell one of your Rolexes before you buy a Yachtmaster? No, I would never trade any of my current Rolexes for a Yachtmaster. The most likely would be the Explorer 2, and that seems like a terrible trade. Although they're similarly priced. I think the Explorer 2 is about $1,000 less, or maybe about $1,000 less than the 16622 Master. But even if somebody said, "Hey, well, I'll just trade you," I wouldn't do it. I think it's the Explorer 2 is a better watch to have. So no, I would just add that. Will I? No. I don't know. It's a puzzling watch. I kind of dig it. I love like I said, it's the relationship between the sub and the Hydronaut. Check out that case. Is very, very, very interesting. And yeah, it's grown on me like really quickly, all of a sudden, sort of. And, it's 40 millimeters, it's steel, it's got the swivelly bezel, it's everything I like, but it's nothing I have. And it would be different and totally new dial color. And it kind of makes good sense. As far as, it makes a hell of a lot better sense than getting another GMT, put it that way. Will I do it though? I don't know. I'm not sure. I would have to get past those polished middle links, which I think I could. And who knows, I could maybe really start to like them. Maybe I could become a little bit of a blingy kind of guy. I could segue myself right into two tones and gold pieces. And the next thing you know, I'm all about the bling, and I got, necklaces and we could go that route. Hopefully not. Also, as far as the Yachtmaster goes, the bezel, the script on the numerals of the bezel are a little bit much. I don't really know how I feel about that. Although that could be a good watch for sort of a person in their later years, because you got the maxi dial and you got the maxi hands and you got those big fat numerals. So who knows? That could make serious sense when my eyesight starts going. Hey, Tansil, thank you for that. He says, can you describe taste of Japanese watch collectors versus American? It seems the Japanese want pristine condition watches versus US being okay with beat up vintage. Yeah. The Japanese don't like used things at all. That's for sure. And the Japanese that buy used Rolexes are really, I tend to think, the ones that can't quite afford it. Like, for example, I knew a guy that he had a Datejust, and it was a steel Datejust with a diamond dial, which I always think is kind of awkward. But he said he admitted he bought it used, which is totally cool. That's how I buy my stuff. But you know, he was going for as much bling as he could for as little cash as he could, because really he didn't have the cash to really splash out. If he did, he would have gone new gold, you know, over the top kind of stuff. So people will go used, but it's not what they want to do. They're trying to get that F off piece at a bargain, and yeah. Whereas that's pretty much the only way I would go. I'm happy to do it. Whereas I'm really surprised that guy told me. Yeah, they do want pristine things, and so that's why I got a really good price on this Pachinko, because it was beat up. There's no way a Japanese person would have paid money for that. What they would have done is, if that hadn't sold, and I made a video about this, they would have polished the hell out of it, made it look all, you know, fine, and not that it's beat up anyway, but they would have really worked on it and put it back as, and then a Japanese person might have bought it, because, you know, they don't sweat the things like lugs and how sharp the lugs are in the camphors and all of those things, like I do, and a lot of other collectors do. They look at it as like, does it look new? You know, if somebody saddles up next to me, is it going to look like I got my brother's old beat up watch, or does this look like I have like a nice brand new watch? And I think that's what they go for more. And it comes from, you know, the fact that these are predominantly status symbol watches here. I don't have a feeling that you know, people talk movements, and generally speaking, there's definitely a sort of a segment that's really into the vintage things here, more so than probably anybody else in the world. But that's a niche. That's a niche when you're talking your typical Japanese watch, where you're you know, these are status symbols, and you want newer, better, polished. Yes, please, sir, polish it, please. I hope that answers your question. Kind of want to see that question again, but yeah, they want it pristine. They want it looking pristine. Whereas, again, I think a lot of Americans would be the same way. I think what differentiates me, and a lot of people would be like, I want non-polished pieces, so I'm willing to be okay with some wear, and I think a lot of Americans would too, to be honest. So I think everybody wants as cheap as possible, but as minty looking as possible. And if you're willing to go the polished route, that can be done. And I think most Americans, most Japanese will go that route. But I think it is the collectors that will say, I want that beat up one. You know why? Because it's never been serviced before. And a person who's not a watch person is going to say, all right, okay, yeah, I'll take the service pretty one. Thank you very much. So, all right. Would you buy pre-owned or new Yacht Master? John asks. Well, I would have to get pre-owned, because I like the 1622, and they don't sell those anymore. So I would have to go pre-owned. And yeah, they're running for about seven to eight. So, and there's not a whole heck of a lot here in Japan. All right. Okay. Matt Stevens, he says Bangkok, August 18th, that evening flight to Phuket until the 23rd, then Chiang Mai ride for at least a week, then to Bangkok, then Pattaya, then Bangkok, September, flying home on the 10th. Who's with me? All right. Well, like a month. Yeah, I'm sure that'll fly with the family. I will join you for part of that for sure. Okay, but not the whole thing. Segway. Never tried a Segway, but I would like to check one out. All right, Mr. Do, he says, Austin, in Japan, do you play Kancho? I think Archie will like it too. All right. So this is like a joke between you and me, Mr. Two, I guess. But if you guys are curious what he's talking about, concho is this thing, and it's like going up to somebody and going like this, like into their butt, and it's like a kid. I don't know. It's supposed to be funny. No, I don't play it. I don't play it, but yeah. All right, Matt Stevens. Oh, this is going more Japanese than watches, which I suppose is all right. But throw out some watch questions for me, please. Matt says, "Do you ever see Yakuza?" Yeah, like I mentioned in that drunken podcast, there was he had to be in the Yakuza, and he was at my sports club, and he had the back tattoo, and he had an amazing watch collection. I saw him with Panerais and all gold Daytona, and yeah. So I have seen Yakuza here, and you just know it because of the tattoos. In this particular sports club was okay with tattoos, and a lot of places aren't, because they don't want people that have tattoos and potentially be Yakuza members to be patrons and to bother the other people, basically. And anyway, I was at that same sports club, and I saw these three guys, and they were hanging out real closely together, and they had the whole back tattoo thing, and the way that they were hanging out so close, like a little gang in there, even in the bath. They're going from bath to bath, and they were totally because I would bet my money on it, and it was interesting because you could see the way that they were, and yeah. So the answer is yes, but you don't ask them about that kind of thing. Although, as a foreigner, if you did, they might think it's sort of funny, and they might actually talk to you about it. But I will tell you guys a little interesting story. When I was in Fukuoka, I had a friend, and he worked at a hostess bar as a bartender, and he asked me if I wanted to work there, like on one day, like one night a week on a Wednesday night. And he said, it's awesome. You can you just make a drink every now and then, not only when like the girl gets one order for her. You have to make like a strawberry daiquiri, once every 10 minutes or something. He says you can drink on the job. You can just crouch down and do your drinking. Everybody's cool with it. And anyway, that establishment, when I went to sort of get my money, it was like a seafood restaurant that I have a feeling it was sort of like Yakuza things going on there. They're really nice to me, but I think might have had some contact in that regard. I have a disaster. Tudor Prince date, California dial. Movement had water damage in its past and wrong hands. Trying to rectify. Keep it or get rid of it. I'm assuming you're saying Logan Smith. Okay, thank you, Logan Smith, for the question. All right, California dial. What is that, man? I don't know. Is this like a hydronaut? Maybe not. Okay, but it had water damage in its past and wrong hands. No, I wouldn't keep it. I'd try to get out of it. Yeah, I'd try to get rid of it. The water damage, that's going to be a really hard watch to move and get out of, and it's going to bother you. I can already tell it does, and it would me. I couldn't deal with water damage, and you're going to look down and know that those hands are not the hands that it's supposed to have. So I would get out ASAP. Oh, it's an oyster case. Okay. Yeah, I would get out ASAP. Hopefully you can. Yeah. If you have to ask a question like that, I think you already know the answer. Good luck. I hope you can get out of it. but hey, it could be worse. It's a Tudor, and you probably paid a Tudor price for it. It's not a Rolex. So a Rolex with water damage and wrong hands, that's much bigger deal. Oh yeah, the California dial. Yeah. All right, right on. I know what you're talking about. I've got to Google those. I do not understand what's going on with the dash and the. I'm sure there's a story around it, but yeah, California dials. What's up with those? So interesting. All right, I'm surprised I haven't figured that out yet, but I will. I'll Google that another time. All right, so I hope to win. Austin, have you ever played Pachinko? Very noisy. Yeah, I did play Pachinko. I played one time. I took my $10 and did it, and I lost all my money in probably like 3 minutes. And I was like, okay, that sucked. I'm done. People get pretty into it though. It's Pachinko, of course, it's like a pinball looking game, although it's completely different than pinball, and balls go up and you try to get them in the slots, and you adjust how the rate and the I guess the strength that the bearings shoot up. And yeah, people believe that there's skill involved, but actually I knew a guy that repaired Pachinko machines, and I asked him, I said, is there any skill involved? And he said, none. Because you'll talk to people that swear they're good at it and can make money. And he said, no, he said, that's just ridiculous. It's like people believing that how good you are at throwing craps is like there's some skill involved there. But no, I didn't go that route. Austin, anyone call you Gaijin? Man, this is a funny question here, SL, because it happened just the other day. You know, I had some leg issues actually right after, I guess it was about Tuesday. Had some serious leg issues, and so at like 1 a.m, I thought, the reason I went up is because this medicine that I take if you get like leg cramps and stuff, it could mean serious things. And so I'd had it for a couple of days, these like leg issues. And so at like in the middle of the night, this is just like probably 4 days ago, I was laying in bed and my legs were killing me, and I was feeling hot. And I was like, okay, I'm supposed to have this checked out, and I'm not. So, okay, I'm just going to go to the emergency room. I went to the emergency room and I walked in, and it's just a couple of days ago. And the security guard was like, what do you want? And I said, I'm having problems with my legs and stuff. I told him this in Japanese, and he was like, what? And I'm thinking like, okay, this is, you don't need to be asking this. But I explained it again. He didn't even listen to me, and he picked up the phone and he goes, in Japanese, he says, there's a gaijin here and he can't speak Japanese. And I don't know what he's saying. And anyway, so yeah, I was called it just the other day. And when he said that, I thought, okay, am I gonna mention this to him? I instantly had this sort of like feeling of rage, like, okay, I'm gonna say something about this, but I didn't. In the end, I didn't. That was a bit of a fiasco, by the way. I had to walk with him. By the way, like, I can speak Japanese, okay, and he just wasn't sort of listening. And he took me to this area where he gets this like little translation machine that you speak into, and then it comes out in English and stuff. He couldn't get it to work. Finally, some person came from like upper management, and I said in Japanese, I said, look, if you guys want to play with your toy another time, that's fine. And then I proceeded to explain my problem in Japanese, and yeah. So that I was yeah, that was a pretty damn negative experience. But it doesn't happen a lot. And this, this security guard, he was older, probably 70, and um, and just kind of old and crotchety and set in his ways, and not even sort of open enough to really open his ears to try and understand what I was saying, or to even think, hey, is this Japanese coming out of his mouth or gibberish? So yeah, sorry to mention that. That was I feel like I'm on a rant here. Speak some Japanese. All right. Nani o imashou ka? What should I say? Yeah. Any any Okay, Blue Shirt Buddha, thanks for the question, man. He says, hey, Austin, do you have a Grow watch? If your funds were unlimited, what would you get? All right, man, that's a good question. Okay, do I have a Grow watch? I don't, which is kind of awesome to not have a Grow watch. Yeah, I mean, I did it. It was the GMT, and then after I had the GMT, it was the second GMT. And so, yeah, I do have my Grails, and I actually have them, and I got them, which is, it's cool. And I'm lucky because I've got sort of, usually when you say Grails, people have, these, wow, what would you want? And they go real high end, but really just, I guess, a relatively humble GMT, 16710. That was and is sort of the bee's knees for me. But I tell you what, obviously, if you're saying if money is unlimited, you kind of feel foolish talking about, steel sports watches. You think you should maybe be thinking, precious metal watches and really get more bang for your fantasy. But I have to say that, yeah, my girl would probably be an M serial 2007 16710 GMT Master 2, and that would be the one, instead of having the 3185 movement, it would have the 3186 movement. It would have the parachrome spring, and it would probably be no different in practice than what I have, but it's just those are super collectible, and it would be cool to have one and think, wow, have to have such a rare watch, those M serials, and I think some of the Z serials have it. So yeah, that's what I would go for. That would be my Grail, and maybe one with the stick dial as well, because that would, you could get the stick dial plus the 3186 movement, and looks, I mean, to most people, that would just be, just still a cool watch, but just looks like a regular GMT. But to collectors, that would be, $20,000+ watch. So that's where I would go. Blue Shirt Buddha. Good question. And I'll just throw out that, if I was in this sort of fantasy scenario, I would go Patek Philip, just to sort of do it. And my only thing about Patek Philip is their sort of sports watches. I don't dig the aesthetic. I wish I did. I wish they had round cases. I wish the Aquanaut and the Nautilus were, I mean, I like everything about it except the watch, right? I mean, I love the brand. I love it's got a great history. It's probably the most, it's the top of the horological food chain as far as I'm concerned. But I think aesthetically, I think they're hideous, to be honest. Yeah, I have to say that. I give them a lot of slack because they are Patek Philippe, but I wish they were just more round, and I would love for them to have something I'm into, and if they did, it would be yeah, that's my grill. But again, I mean, if we're in a fantasy situation, sure, you know, I would get like a Nautilus, you know, sure, why not? And I would love it for its ugliness, you know. Nautilus, yuck. Yeah, Mike, I'm with you. I'm not on Instagram, by the way. No. All right, guys. I'm gonna set a timer because I wanted this to go on too long for about, I'm thinking maybe 30 more minutes. All right, and you guys can ask her questions, whatnot. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Set an alarm for 30 minutes from now.
I've set an alarm for 11:35.
There we go. If I had my bezel, I would be you know, doing it. Not that I don't love doing these, just that I want to make it more manageable for people watching. And you know what? It's funny because I intended to do 45 minutes tonight, and I'm already at 50, and I put another 30 minutes on the clock. So I do my live streams like I drink my alcohol, pretty out of control. 6 more hours left. Yeah, I know what you mean. But Siri's gonna keep my ass in line. Patek has some really nice watches. Nautilus isn't one of them. Yeah, I mean, they're sort of dress watches, and the Calatrava's are beautiful. They're beautiful, but that's not the aesthetic that I like. And by aesthetic, I mean that's not the type of watch. Aesthetic, that's the wrong word, actually. That's not the type of watch that I like. Those dress watches, they're not. Yeah, I like what the Nautilus is trying to be, just not the physical shape and design elements of it only. Okay. Austin, in your opinion, which shop in Japan carries the best selection of used new Rolex with the best price? Jason L., it's not really about the shop, it's about the area. You go to the area and you're going to have watch shops all together. So Nakano is probably one of my favorite places. But, you know, I wouldn't say, oh, go to this place in Nakano. I would say go to all the places in Nakano and do a lot of comparing, and they're all there. So, you know, if you're going to, say, Jack Road in Nakano, you know, the others are right there. So you gotta stop by all of them. Would there be any that I would avoid? No, I'm pleased to say that I haven't heard any horror stories, and I have no sort of bad experiences. You know, I find that when you go to these shops, if they have just one piece, then they're going to jack up the price because they only have one piece. And, you know, somebody might just go to that one shop and, oh, you got one piece. Okay, well, I'll pay that extra $2,000 for it. For example, the place that had the $13,000+ A serial GMT Master 2, exactly what I have.
Okay, I found this on the web for what GMT Master 2, exactly what I have.
But you go to another place and they got a bunch of GMTs and they're going to be just thousands of dollars, like literally $3,000 less. And I got out that I had him take out that 13,000 A serial GMT Master 2, and I looked at it. Siri, please. This is the second. What am I saying? But it's triggering Siri. Go away.
Goodbye would be more polite.
All right, but I got it out, and it looked like I was just trying to figure out what was special about it, but it looked like it might not have been polished, but I couldn't be certain anyway. So yeah. Anyway, just go to the area and then go to all of the shops. Ah, yes. Yeah, SERIAL. That's what triggers her. That's what it is. Reference number is what I'll use from now on. Amber Rose, Austin, do you feel honored rubbing shoulders with the new owner of Elite Broadcasting? What is that? I don't know. Who's, oh, is that Archie? Okay, I remember seeing in some live stream, he said he had just bought a media company. That must be what you're talking about. Yeah, I was happy before he was a multimedia mogul, which was just like a couple days ago. John Manna says, has your opinion changed of Steinhardt since the Adrico days? Yeah, in a way it has. I mean, I don't think that they're like a poser brand. I don't think they're trying to be more than they are, which really is what turned me off from Squale. The fake and bought and paid for history, and it's sort of, they were really kind of going for sort of a new Rolex type thing. And Steinhardt doesn't do that. Never really have claimed to do that. And in that sense, they're sort of humble, and their prices are a little bit more reasonable. And I wouldn't buy one, but yeah, my tastes, not my taste, but my opinion has changed. And if somebody said, look, I just love this Steinhardt, and it's 500, and that's not that much, and there is no fake history to buy into, I'd say, yeah, go for it. Whereas obviously, Squale, my feelings haven't changed about that brand at all. It really comes down to the deceptive nature of Squale. That's really what turns me off, because you start deceiving your potential customers into thinking you're something quite different than you really are, and that's about the biggest slap in the face that you can give to your customers. And it's offensive, sort of, to me, that they pull that. And Steinhardt never has. And so for that reason, I do respect them more. But do I think the Steinhardt OMV is going to shoot out? No. In fact, somebody sent me an email recently that it's back, it's tanked, it's down. You can probably get one for 500 USD now. Nobody wants them. So yeah. As far as what Adricos and Andy Hunter was saying about it being like, the next sort of sub in its collectability, I mean, he was off the mark there, and I think he was probably just having a go. I don't know if he really believed in himself when he made that video. Aunt G, he says, Austin, is it true Grand Seiko is equivalent to Swatch is here in the States? No, Grand Seiko is like a hugely popular, well-respected brand. Yeah, no, Grand Seiko's, it is the person who who loves Japan and loves a great watch. I mean, if it's sort of like you get what you get from Rolex, but you get that national identity here, and for that reason, I think people dig it, and I think you kind of get some points from having one on your wrist, hell of a lot more than you would having an imported Swiss watch. That just gives you status points, whereas the Grand Seiko, I think, will give you the status points, plus it'll give you the national, pride points as well. Go back to 707 question. Snowflake Hunter. No question what you're talking about, but if you want to explain it, do so. When are you posting the video of your Rolex back from service? I'm going to pick that up next week, and I'll probably make a video of me picking it up, and that'll be soon. All right, Tanzil, thanks for the super chat, Tanzil. He says, Austin, what brands and watches do you aspire to own outside of Rolex? Just one, Patek Philip. Do I aspire to own one. Not actively. It's sort of in the back of my mind, and I might explore it in the future. When I'm a little bit older, I'm perfectly happy sort of pushing that off into the future. And I think, hey, you know, like I think a little age on a person works well with a Patek, Calatrava, for instance. But yeah, at some point I would say a Patek. Aside from that, nothing seriously, Tanzil. I contemplate getting a man on the moon, and then I'm like, you know, that'll be $3,000. I don't know. I don't want to spend $3,000 on one. I'm not going to wear it that much, and it would become very. It would lose its novelty very quickly, and I would say, why do I have this $3,000 watch? I'd much rather have a Rolex on. So, that does sort of, you know, Seamaster. I mean, sometimes I think about like a Seamaster, something like that, something subish, but outside of Rolex. And then I think, you know, it's sort of, it's like in a certain type of woman, and thinking, yeah, but you know, I really have to, you know, marry this one the next time around. And you think, well, why do I have to? I like this type, right? And that's what, you know, terrible analogy, by the way. Any recommendation for favorite watch channels? I like people who I sort of get to know, like Matt Stevens. I mean, I don't even know if he's a watch channel anymore, but like I like when he makes stuff just because I like the guy, and I like to, you know, see what he's into, and I like when he sort of brings some watches into it, and he still has enough of the horological streak that he does. And I like you know, the Simon Crane, but he doesn't do anything anymore. He doesn't make any videos anymore, really. Because I find the personalities interesting. What I don't like is I don't like somebody sitting down and talking about a review of a watch, and it's like, who are you? Who come out from behind the camera and talk to me and tell me a little bit about your life and about like how you use this watch and what does it mean to you, and what are your goals for it, or what are your regrets for it, and everything is so sort of like it's so sanitized and sort of well, it's like a commercial, and I hate that stuff. So yeah, thanks, Tanzil. He says Don J. Haynes' favorite watch brand is Blancpain, which means white bread in French. Huh, you're right, it does. Pun, by the way, in Japanese is that's a loan word from France. Coincidence, this is his favorite accompaniment with his mom's meatloaf as well. Is that a coincidence? I would guess it is, Tanzil, because I'm not so sure that Haynes or Don, I'll call him Don, if French is really up there enough to make that connection. I don't know if he knows that it actually means white bread. Blancpain. Oh, it's interesting. I've never known that. I never put those two, and I never put that two and two together. My guess is that Don's mom feeds him better bread than white bread with her meatloaf. I think she probably loves her little boy, and I think she probably serves him a nice, robust wheat bread. So, yes, I think there it appears to be a relationship there between the love of the Blancpain and his mom's meatloaf, but I think it just is an illusion. I don't think it exists. Am I whispering? I am trying to keep it down a little bit. Maybe if we do it in the daytime sometime, I can really boom. Or, but yeah, I am trying to keep it a bit down. I have some tea. Don Haynes, I like Don Haynes as well. He's another watch channel that I really like, because you get to know who he is, and it's not just watches all the time. That's another thing I love about, say, AC3 and people like, Don Haynes and who else? They sort of they talk about other things, and you see other things, you see other bits and pieces of their lives. And I'm hearing a crying baby in the back, so I gotta be careful to talk a little bit lower. But who else do I like? I'm probably missing some people. Yeah, I mean, Mark Goldberg, he kind of keeps it to watches, and he does get out and about. I like that. It's visually, I think there's something important and interesting about that. He's going around his property, but I would love for him. He travels sometimes, right? I would love for him to do that, just sort of in a city somewhere. Take us on a trip to like AD, or that's not going to happen, but that would be kind of nice. And Archie does that as well. He takes us to Bangkok, and you get to know a lot about sort of him personally, and so I think that's kind of interesting. So I like that. That's but as far as these like, Watchbox, for instance, I don't watch any of the Watchbox stuff. The only time I watch Watchbox is like when they're talking about, when I Google something and it comes up, Hydronaut 2, and they're like the only video with it, and I hear Tim talk about the Hydronaut 2, and in that sense, I mean, it's really useful and informative. But I'm not a subscriber, and I have no interest in whatever their watch of the day is. So yeah, I like the personal aspect of these watch channels. So can you bargain in shops like Nakano? I made a video about that. Try to look and find that, but not really. But yeah, kind of, but not really. Hydronaut 2 is a bit fugly. No, oh yeah, it is hideous. It's hideous. They probably one of the ugliest watches out there. Let me check the time. I don't want to. What are you doing? Timer. Well, okay, we got about a little over 10 minutes. So JY says, hi, Austin. I just bought a new Honda Freed. What kind of car do you drive? Nothing. Public transport, 100%. But when I was in the States, I mentioned I drove a 190E. One of my favorite cars that I had was a Land Rover Defender D90. That was awesome. What else? Some of my parents' cars I would drive. My mother had a 300 TD. My dad had a 450 SL, 300 SL. But yeah, nothing here. I can't even drive in Japan, and in fact, I can't even drive in the States now because my license, I didn't get it renewed, and so whenever I go back, I have to actually take the driving test, just like I was some pathetic 16-year-old, 42-year-old, walking in the shoes of a 16-year-old. You look like a Volvo guy. Volvos are awesome. I love Volvos. My mom has a Volvo right now, actually. Yeah, Volvos are really cool. All right, how many watches are in my collection right now? Well, let me tell you, Aunt G, the only amount that you need to worry about is 4, because that's really when I think of my collection. I don't think of things like this and the Seiko 5s. I don't even know what number that is. That does mean nothing. So when I think of my collection, I really just think 4 Rolexes. I don't even put the Hydronauts up there. I think 4 Rolexes. Everything else is just like a cloud of nonsense, including the Hydronauts. Although I should give them more credit. I really can't imagine if the Blue Velvet Japan would hire the horn one. He will definitely be too loud for the 90-year-old grannies there. I don't know what Blue Velvet is. Paul A says, what's your favorite GMT bezel color? Oh, and I missed it. Tanzil took that question right from you. Write it again, and I'll respond to it. How easy would it be to pitch Archie as a foreign sumo wrestling monster to the waitress if he visited you and you took him to the local ramen spot? Well, if we get enough booze in him, we could probably make that happen. Although he'll be taken in to police custody and likely be banned from the country. So, yeah, there are foreign sumo wrestlers here, but yeah, he's too old to get in the sumo ring. I hope I answered that adequately. I don't want to go too deep into this clearly fun question. Oh, you mean pitch him as in like, you mean like tell her that he is like a former sumo wrestler? Maybe I misread your question, but yeah, I don't know if that would really work. It would be sort of like bringing somebody to like the States and trying to get a waitress to believe that they're like major league baseball icon status coach. Yeah, just I think they would say, oh, really, what's his name? And they'd like Google it in the back, and he wouldn't be able to speak any Japanese. And yeah, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Pitch Archie as a foreign sumo wrestler. Yeah, but they do have foreign wrestlers here. They come, a lot of them from Mongolia and the Russian Federation as well. And yeah. So, but Archie's way too over the hill for that kind of sport. All right. So again, if I miss your question, sorry about it. I'm all over the place here. Okay, so Snowflake Hunter wants me to milk my cat again. I've had so much milk today that I'm quite full. But she's wants attention, and and she twines against the internet cable. So I have to appease her, or she'll join this thing we've got going on. So. Can you milk mice? That's a great question. I mean, what would a drop of mouse milk taste like? That's that's a niche that could be filled, and you could, hey, that could be a money-making opportunity right there. Look into that, because somebody might jump on that. There could be incredible health properties with mice milk. Okay, who is going to win Champions League final? I have no idea what Champions League is. I have no idea. I don't know if that's a real sport you're talking about or a video game. What breed is your cat? I have 2 ragdolls. Yeah, this is a ragdoll. Yeah, she's a ragdoll. Come here. Ragdoll cat. She has papers. Her father's name was Alpha. Her mother's name was Eileen. She was born Blanca, and she has 1 sister named Bessie. And yeah, she I got her over 10 years ago, and she's my essentially my Speedmaster man on the moon of a cat. So whenever I look at her, I think I could have a Speedmaster if it wasn't for you. But I would much rather have the cat. Yeah, she does have papers, so she wouldn't fit in at Archie's collection. Yeah, but Archie's got a few papers too, to be fair. Yeah, but by the way, people believe that, you know, ragdolls are named because they sort of go limp in your hands, and that was one of the reasons I got her, because I thought, hey, that's cool, right? But let's test it out. Let's test it out. All right. Hey, maybe she is a ragdoll, but she's definitely not limp. If I hold her long enough, she'll want to get down. But well, she's earning her keep. There you go. All right, you're kind of being a ragdoll. All right, I stand corrected. Huh. Ghislaine says, one of mine goes limp, one doesn't. Well, she's being really, usually she hates to be held, but I think she's been trying for the past hour to get my attention, so she's happy with this. All right, off you go. Hair everywhere. Austin, a good YouTube channel is to do voiceover Japanese TV. Oh, that could be interesting, but yeah, I think there's like copyright issues that would happen. We got like 3 minutes before Siri tells me to get off the live stream. Do you know of any bad years to purchase Datejust? Any bad years? No, I don't know anything about Datejust, to be honest. 10614. No clue. I'm not the guy to ask about that. Any watch you regret buying? As I pick ragdoll hair off my face and nose. Kind of, yeah. The Seiko speed timer, because I don't know. I don't want to sell it, but I don't want to keep it, and so and yeah, that one. No, I can't. Angie, I'm not going to start breaking out dance moves. That was the question you should have asked on live stream number 2, the end. I would have done it. I would have done it. What is my favorite GMT? Ghislaine asks. That's a great question. In fact, I might end on that question, unless there's a good one that comes. But I would say in practice the 16710, but I think the Fat Lady, which I think is the 16760, the Fat Lady, they made it for a very short period of time. It has all the bells and whistles that mine does. It's got the hackable local secondhand, hackable, local time, local hour hand is what I mean. Like my GMT Master 2, as opposed to just a straight up GMT. And it's got a sapphire crystal. So it's basically like the grandfather of the watch I have, but they just made it for a short time. It was, I believe, when they introduced the Coke color scheme. So the the Fat Lady will always have a Coke, And the rarity and usability of it, I think, makes it probably my favorite. So that could be another grail for me, but will I ever get one? Probably not. They call it the Fat Lady because of the big case, and to be honest, I would like to compare it with the 16710, because I just think the proportions are right, but I wouldn't mind a little extra girth for that. There we go. There we go. All right, guys. I had a great time. Thank you. Thanks for everybody that participated. And Tanzil, thank you for those super chats. Appreciate it. Thank you for all of the good questions. Good luck. Have a great day. Have a great night. And we'll do it again soon. Take care.